China has always been threatening Taiwan.
Taiwan's top diplomat worries China may launch a war against Taiwan. But he adds that Beijing's threats to Taiwan are achieving the opposite effect. That's as the Chinese military extends drills encircling the island. A new lockdown mandate for China, this time in a tourist destination. Tens of thousands of travelers are stuck in one of the country's top vacation hubs. And at the same time, a new virus has emerged in China. Research shows it's transmitted from animals to humans. And experts believe it could be lethal, though no death reports have come up so far. And Washington has sold 6 million barrels of oil from its emergency stockpile, all of it going to a company tied to Beijing. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Taiwan's top diplomat says he worries that China may launch a war against Taiwan. That's as the Chinese military announces new updates on its drill in the ocean around the island. Here's more.
The Chinese military announced Monday it will extend drills around Taiwan. The drill started last week following House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's landmark visit to the island.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President and the Speaker have arrived.
Taiwan says it has detected 13 Chinese warships in waters off its coast. The island's foreign minister explains his concerns.
I worry that China may really launch a war against Taiwan. But what it is doing right now is trying to scare us. And the best way to deal with it, to show to China that we are not scared.
Beijing's drill covers multiple zones around Taiwan, effectively encircling the island. What's more, the Chinese military has crossed the median line during the drill. That's the unofficial divide between mainland China and Taiwan. Here's some background on China's relationship with Taiwan. Taiwan's current government used to rule mainland China, but fled to Taiwan during a civil war. Even so, Beijing still sees Taiwan as part of mainland Chinese territory. It has also threatened to take the island by force. That's despite Taiwan never having been ruled by the Chinese Communist Party. Back to the drill. Some have raised concerns that Speaker Pelosi's visit triggered the strong reaction from Beijing. Here's Foreign Minister Joseph Wu's take.
China has always been threatening Taiwan for years, and it's getting more serious in the last few years, and it's always been that way. Whether Speaker Pelosi visit Taiwan or not, the Chinese military threat against Taiwan has always been there, and that is the fact that we need to deal with.
Asked if Taiwan's democratic system has ever been in more danger than it is today,
I can tell you that Taiwan is more resilient than before. Look at Taiwan these days. China is trying to impose trade sanctions against Taiwan, trying to attack Taiwan from military or non-military aspect. The life goes on here in Taiwan. And Taiwan shows its resilience.
Wu previously rallied for international support. He said if Taiwan comes under a Chinese invasion, he hopes fellow democracies would rally around Taiwan and deter the Chinese regime.
Some of that support for Taiwan may be coming from the Caribbean. President Tsai welcomed the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to Taipei on Monday. His country is located in southern Caribbean and is one of 14 nations that maintains diplomatic relations with Taiwan. The Prime Minister says his 6-day visit aims to express solidarity and strengthen bilateral relations. Likewise, he wants to pursue peace, security, and prosperity. His arrival in Taiwan comes at a time of heightened tensions across the Taiwan Strait. China has been conducting large-scale military drills in the waters surrounding the island in recent days, in response to a visit by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Next, we head to the other side of the Taiwan Strait. It's peak tourism season in Sanya, a city of southern China's Hainan Island. It's famous for resorts and beaches. But reports say it's not the best time to go. Over the weekend, some 80,000 tourists were stranded in Sanya. That's after authorities reported a spike in COVID-19 cases and ordered lockdown measures. One tourist from Shanghai said the mandate triggered a sense of deja vu after his home city's 3-month lockdown earlier this year.
We were all aware of the risk, but I mean, if you're traveling in general in China, you should kind of be aware of what could happen. And if you don't consider that, then you should probably just not go in the first place.
Railway authorities banned all ticket sales in Sanya, while all flights were also canceled. Tourists wanting to depart Sanya must first test negative for COVID-19 on 5 PCR tests over 7 days. China has stuck to a zero COVID-19 policy despite the economic and social costs. While the Chinese Communist Party virus, which causes COVID-19, is still putting some Chinese cities under lockdown, a new virus has been detected in the country. Chinese media reports say at least 35 people in 2 provinces in northern China have been infected. The new virus is called the Langya Henipa virus. Patients sickened with it often come down with flu-like symptoms, including cough, fever, and weakness. A report on the infection cited both Chinese and Singaporean scientists. Their research on the outbreak was printed by the New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most renowned medical publications. It's been discovered that the virus can be transmitted from animals to humans, though no human-to-human transmission has been found so far. What's more, experts believe the infection is lethal, but no deaths have been reported. The fatality rate remains unknown. It's reportedly similar to the Nipah virus, which comes with a fatality rate as high as 40%. Shrews have been named the infection's most likely carriers, with dogs and goats following behind. 6 million barrels of oil sold from America's emergency energy stockpile to a company that answers to the Chinese Communist Party. That's as gas prices hover around $4 nationwide. Here's how it happened.
Records show the Biden administration has sold nearly 6 million barrels of oil from the U.S. Strategic Reserve to an entity with ties to the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. From September 2021 to July 2022, the Department of Energy, or DOE, has awarded 3 crude oil contracts worth over $460 million to Unipec America. Why is the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve important? This crude oil supply is America's emergency energy backup. It was set up to ensure the U.S. won't face oil shortages in case of supply disruptions. These oil stocks are saved in underground caverns along the Gulf of Mexico. The amount of oil they hold is enough to fill over 1 billion large sedans. But that oil stockpile is depleting fast, and now the reserve has hit a 37-year low. President Biden has been releasing oil from the reserve to bring down gas prices, specifically 1 million barrels a day over 6 months. The White House also authorized the reserve to sell millions of barrels of oil to Europe and countries in Asia, including China, and those oil sales have come under controversy. Last week, over 200 House Republicans voted in support of legislation aimed at preventing oil sales to entities with ties to the CCP.
Supporting this language is common sense, especially since we need to focus on increasing energy production and not supporting from our adversaries while Americans are still suffering from outrageously high fuel prices here at home. These reserves are meant to be used for emergencies only.
The legislation failed after Democrats unanimously opposed it. Last week, a special assistant to President Biden addressed criticism about selling oil to China, saying the DOE is required by law to sell it in a competitive auction to the highest bidder, regardless of whether that bidder is a foreign company. But the April and July purchases cost Unipec around $103 and $119 per barrel, respectively. The highest prices offered by comparison were roughly $111 and $125. That's according to a review of DOE contracts by the Epoch Times. In May, the Department of Energy announced an oil buyback plan. The idea is to buy the oil back at a cheaper price than it was sold, likely after fiscal year 2023, when oil prices are expected to lower again.
Washington is slapping new sanctions on Iran, hoping to curb its ability to sell oil to East Asia, this time by targeting Chinese and United Arab Emirates firms. Here's more.
Washington just imposed sanctions on Chinese oil firms. That's over helping an Iranian company sell oil and petrochemical products to East Asia. The value of these bills runs into tens of millions of U.S. dollars. The U.S. said the curbs are designed to stamp down on Iran's nuclear program. 6 companies are listed for sanctions, 4 in Hong Kong and 1 in the United Arab Emirates. The U.S. Treasury accused one of Iran's largest petrochemical brokers of being behind those 6 companies and of taking advantage by continuing its business in East Asia. That's despite getting sanctioned by the U.S. in 2019. The 4 Hong Kong-based firms have not only provided a convenient path for sales, but also transportation. Bank accounts controlled by the companies showed that millions of dollars in profits were collected through the dealings. This marks the 3rd group of Chinese companies in 2 months that are facing sanctions from Washington due to cooperation with Iran. Commenting on the situation, Brian Nelson, Treasury Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, stated that until such time as Iran is ready to return to full implementation of its commitments, we will continue to enforce sanctions on the illicit sale of Iranian petroleum and petrochemicals.
A cyber defense company is calling out Beijing. It says China is using fake news websites to spread propaganda and disinformation. The details come from a Mandiant report released on Thursday. Mandiant is a public U.S.-based cybersecurity firm. Its report alleges that Beijing has used at least over 70 fraudulent news sites and social media platforms to spread pro-Communist Party propaganda. The sites label themselves as independent news outlets. They span across the globe and publish in 11 languages. The report says these sites criticize the U.S. and its allies and use fabricated content to defame critics of the Chinese regime. In one case, a Twitter account with the name Jonas Drosten posted 3 forged letters claiming to be from U.S. Senator Marco Rubio. They said German scholar Adrian Zenz got funding from both Rubio and former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon. Adrian Zenz is an anthropologist who exposed detention camps and forced labor issues in the Xinjiang region. The account is now suspended. But before it was taken down, the Chinese Communist Party's official newspaper, China Daily, quoted the posts, using it as so-called proof that Zenz was paid to make fake Xinjiang accusations. Based on the report, experts believe the websites are linked to a public relations company in Shanghai. That's all for today's China in Focus on YouTube. We're now sharing a shortened version of our program here after being demonetized for more than a year. Here's what's coming up in our second half. Another warning about TikTok and Beijing-backed data theft. This time, the message comes from influencer Joe Rogan. And the standoff in the Middle East, plus China's infiltration in Israel. We sat down with REA Lightstone, former special envoy for the Abraham Accords, for details on America's role in the region. The full episode is available on our partner platform, Apok TV. To sign up, click the link down below. Thanks for watching China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer, and see you tomorrow.
Presenting the heritage of traditional Chinese martial arts, promoting martial ethics, and reviving the true tradition. The 2022 NTD International Traditional Chinese Martial Arts Competition preliminaries will be held in New York and Taiwan. On August 28th, the finals will be broadcast live online worldwide. Registration hotline 1-888-477-9228. For more information, please visit martialarts.ntdtv.com.